Is Misha Drolin. And Wiltugama. It's your friend the Wren, guys. Peoples, I want to talk to you tonight about something that's kind of important. All too often, I do hear people have this attitude, boldly exclaiming, I don't care what other people think about me. I don't care what others' opinions of me are. And I think that's somewhat of a dangerous stance to take on things. There's a Celtic Triad. It says 3 things that a man is: what he thinks he is, what others think he is, and what he truly is. If you hear the trains, you hear the trains. Sorry. 3 things a man is: what he thinks he is, what others think he is, what he truly is. This triad, no doubt probably deals with reputation. And where does this leave us with the Celtic mind frame? Especially if we know that the importance was never usually placed upon the individual, but on the family, on the tribe, on the people. You were a representative of your family. When you were out away from your family, you represented them. The importance was placed upon the tribe. Let's take a look at that triad. Three things a man is: what he thinks he is. Well, that's interesting because what I think of myself, or what you think of yourself, is only a small fraction of whom we really are. It's one-sided. It comes from your perspective. And what you think you are clearly is not accurate in how others think you are, or even how you truly are. So what does this mean, what you think you are? I might think of myself in one specific way. Perhaps my perception of myself is jaded, warped, or twisted. But even if it is, those things also shape me as an individual. Think about that for a while and ask yourself 3 things that a man is: what he thinks he is, what do you think you are? Trying to be open and objective about your thought process, to know thyself. That's difficult. You have to be able to have this holistic view of the self, acknowledging all your idiosyncrasies, all your faults. Step 2, what others think he is. Now this is that big one we were talking about. Do the opinions of others matter? To some extent, they don't. Not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to agree with you. But this very haphazard, dangerous attitude towards, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, can have repercussions. Okay? Given that we all are online, we have YouTube channels, we have Facebook, we had MySpace, we have Twitter, some people use Tumblr, Google+, blogging, Instagram, Pixika, Flickr. The list goes on of online social things, either through pictures or things that you post. It could be somebody on your list that you're friends with online only that you don't really know, and they don't really know you. Perhaps you're applying for a job. Perhaps the boss of that job, his daughter or his nephew, is friends with you, and you don't know that. It doesn't take much for an employer, or a possible employer, to look you up online to see who you are and what you're about. I have an example of this. This just won't stay lit. I live in an apartment building. It's not really an apartment building. It's a building from the 1800s. It's very old by American standards. The downstairs is some sort of business plus some sort of pet shop. The second floor has 2 flats, and the upstairs whole 3rd floor is ours. Recently, one of the tenants downstairs moved out, and then new tenants moved in. All I had to do was look at the mailbox, look at their last names. Sometimes the mail's not delivered in the mailbox and it's left on the ledge, and you can see their first names. Through Google, you can see their pictures, you can see who they are, you can see what they're about, when their birthdays are, where they travel, things about their relationships, their interests. Not that any of these things were bad, but if people will judge you based solely upon your online presence, is that part of who you are? Are you different online than you are in real life? And when I mean real life, online is real life. Real life, I mean like away from technology. I mean face to face. Most people are, and that's sad. I'm a straight shooter. The way I am online with you guys is how I am in person. And yes, I take long pauses in person. Now, you can find things out about people's religious beliefs, their political views, their sexual orientation, how they dress when they're not at work, what music they're into, all sorts of hobbies and interests that they're about, simply by the things they post and the pictures that they choose to share. Now, you might feel, oh, I've been discriminated against because I didn't get this job. You don't know that that employer looked you up online. And I'm not talking about like a credit report or any like outstanding warrants or things like that on your nature. No criminal background. I mean, Just the simple things that you have out there. So what others, what others think about who you are is part of that collective of who you are. How are you portraying yourself online is a part of that. Now, the last part is what he thinks he is, what he truly is, and the last part is what he truly is. What we truly are sometimes is not really known to us. It's kind of the collection of things 1 and 2 put together. Your hopes and your dreams are not really added to that collective that people see. You don't really project them. Reputation can be important. Now I'm going to share something with you that's very, very personal about myself. Not many people know this. Where I live, in this town, my family's been here for... My family's been in this town probably for a good 200 years. How do I begin this? Well, my grandfather was in World War II, and so were his 2 brothers. They were always rowdy individuals. After the war, when they came home, they were known to be alcoholics, publicly. And we're talking at a time when this was not accepted. It's never accepted to be an alcoholic, but more so back then. If you were known as like one of the town drunks, not cool. We're talking domestics, we're talking all sorts of problems. My grandfather has children, a whole bunch of children, and those boys grow up and they get in trouble. Lots of trouble. They join motorcycle gangs and they get in some real trouble. There's violence now, there's drug use, which further escalated to my grandfather abusing alcohol and being violent himself. My father, one of those brothers, always kept himself out of the mess. Was a good student. Got married, had children way too young. Me. But it was after marriage that he too became an alcoholic. He had to go through high school with teachers asking him which one his father was. Teachers asking him, was so-and-so or so-and-so your brother? Constantly with the last name, constantly with the reputation. So it was this past summer, my wife, who has my last name, was with my children at a school event. Some sort of police ID thing where the children get their little ID cards and stuff like that. And he said to one of the officers says to my wife, "Are you the good or the bad family with that last name?" Because As I said, my father got into those things. My father was not present during my upbringing because of his behavior. But for one of the current officers to know that that last name is still associated in this town with drugs, with alcohol, with violence, with domestics, it's something that my children are growing up with. I don't have a bad name in this town, but I have a couple cousins that do. My father does. Some of his brothers that are still alive, they still do as well. My brother has a bad reputation. And he has a son. And his son is following in his father's footsteps. And his son is in middle school. And he has a bad name for himself because he cheats, he lies, he steals. There's been involvement with the law. There's been arrests on my brother's behalf. So a name can follow you. Your reputation doesn't necessarily have to be based on your reputation. You can be judged solely on that, on your surname. Is it fair? No. But I know if I get pulled over, if my wife gets pulled over, even for something ridiculous, they check your ID and they automatically judge you. I know a lot of people on the police force of this town, and I know if something were to really come of it, I know I could contact them personally because they know who I am as an individual. But what others think of you is important. I mean, sure, you can't go around wanting to please everybody. You should be allowed to be who you are, insofar as that being, that person that you're expressing yourself, even artistically, doesn't cause personal damage to the family name, to your name, doesn't cause an automatic judgment. Don't go out of your way seeking attention just by your appearance. But I'm also saying, you don't have to blend in either. You don't have to have that stereotypical WASP, Republican haircut and wearing a suit and tie just to fool people that you're a certain way either. Exercise caution. So ask yourselves, what do you think you are? Objectively. Ask yourself, what do you think others think about you? What are you portraying to the world? What does your online footprint say about you, your signature? Pretend that you're some sort of boss and you're trying for a dream job. Does that boss have the ability to look things up about you that would go against them hiring you? Then ask yourself, who are you truly? If who you are truly isn't being portrayed positively, either online or in person with people, or any of the above, then you need to change that. Reputation. That's all I got on that. Some things to think about. Well, friends, it's time to sign off. Good night. Iwa and Slongafol.